As for Zephyr, I'm just having fun with her. Do you really expect me to marry her? I'd be laughed at by my buddies. I stood at the door, listening to the man I loved demeaning me like this. He was hugging another woman, drinking with his friends while saying how worthless I was and how dirty I was. I specifically flew back from Seattle and even transferred planes in Hong Kong. I traveled thousands of miles just to make it in time for his birthday and give him a surprise. And this was what I got. Phoenix said I was dirty and he wasn't wrong. I did sell myself for money. At that time, he owed millions in usury. He was beaten up by those loan sharks. They said if he didn't have the money, they would break one of his arms and one of his legs right there. If Kane, the general manager of Blue Ocean Real Estate, hadn't taken a liking to me and been willing to lend a sum of money as a bridge loan, we wouldn't have been able to get through that difficult time. I'm quite proud in my heart. If I hadn't been at the end of my rope, who would have been willing to do such a thing? Over the years, there had been all kinds of women around Phoenix, but I never took it to heart. It was just flirting, and I thought he knew his limits. Today was the first time I realized that in his heart, I was just someone for casual flirting. Fine. I lowered my head to light a cigarette. The sparks flickered in front of my eyes like fireflies. When we were kids in the reed marshes, Phoenix caught fireflies and put them on my ring finger. I heard that the big diamond rings of city people are luminous at night. I think they may not be as pretty as the fireflies in our fields. Zephyr, when you grow up, will you be my wife? Yes, I grew up and became one of those city people that I envied when I was a child. And I finally understood that some memories would fade, and some people would gradually drift apart in the end. Kane was a successful man in a worldly sense. He was the general manager of Blue Ocean Real Estate, a rich second-generation heir of an enterprise with endless money to make. The moment he saw me, he showed that kind of contemptuous interest in women. Perhaps it was because of our different personal experiences and living environments. In his mind, if a woman had a certain position, she must have slept her way up. At that time, I was the owner of a small paper mill, which was invested by Phoenix's enterprise, and I was indeed Phoenix's woman. Kane had business dealings with Phoenix. I don't know if he was out of his mind or what, but relying on being the client, he directly asked Phoenix for me, and Phoenix knocked out 2 of his front teeth on the spot. We don't need to do this business. Later, Phoenix had an accident. His capital chain broke, he went bankrupt, and was hounded by loan sharks. He was as pitiful as a rat in the gutter. I humbled myself and begged everyone I could. I called out to the heavens but got no response and called to the earth but got no help. Kane seized the opportunity for revenge. He asked me to accompany him and said not to dawdle, or else Phoenix's leg would be crippled. I had no choice. Kane vented all his anger about losing his teeth on me. After torturing me in all kinds of ways, he even slapped me twice. He sneered and said that if I weren't a woman, he would have knocked out 2 of my teeth too. Kane threw a pile of money at me, pulled up his pants, and left. I was left there, sitting blankly for 2 hours. Later, I tremblingly put on my clothes one by one and called Phoenix. I said, "Brother Phoenix, do you still want me?" He said in a hoarse voice, "Zephyr, what are you talking about? Don't overthink things. We've been through so many storms together over the years. We still have a long way to go. It's just a setback. Why are you?" As he was talking, he choked up himself. I said, "Okay, I got it. Actually, Phoenix, if he had told me the truth at that time, if he had said that he minded, that he didn't want me anymore, or if he had directly cursed at me, I would have jumped out of that window and ended it all. Then there wouldn't have been all the things that happened later." I stepped back to the opposite side of the road and called Phoenix. He casually picked up the phone. "Honey, where are you? How's it going today?" "Just SOSO, I waved my hand. "I'm on the opposite side. I was just behind you." Phoenix's face changed. He hunched over, wanting to chase after me, but was pulled back by his friends to drink. "I'll talk to you when I get back." "No need," I paused. "Happy birthday." The wind was so strong. I walked home alone. The streetlights were lonely, and their yellow light looked rather bleak. I hired people to move. I took the important things with me and threw away the unimportant ones. In the end, the room became a bit empty, just like when I first moved in. I followed Phoenix out of the village. We've stumbled along until now. We've experienced many big and small things and endured a lot of hardships. I just held on with a strong will. I didn't want to be like the other women in the village, being beaten by my husband, cheated on, or forced to give birth like a laying hen until I had uterine prolapse. I wanted to live like a human being, relying on my own hands and feet, and see what kind of world I could create. What a pity. In fact, Phoenix had found quite a few women behind my back. They were all young and beautiful college students. I knew it in my heart. I just thought that what happened between me and Cain had hurt him and he felt aggrieved, so he found a way to vent, and I didn't expose him. I never expected that after being with him for over 10 years, all I got was the word dirty. I leaned against the door, quietly smoked the last cigarette, stepped on the cigarette but with my high heels, grinding it out bit by bit. I lowered my head and thought about some things, but didn't know where to start. I just puffed up my cheeks and waved to the movers to start. Phoenix called me over 200 times, but I didn't answer. Then he sent hundreds of WeChat messages, repeating the same few sentences over and over. Where have you gone? How are you? You're deliberately being angry with me, right? Come home. Don't make a fuss. He wasn't even willing to apologize. A month later, Phoenix came to my company in person. I asked the security guards to stop him. That night, Phoenix sent me a WeChat message. Zephyr, are you serious about this? I smoked one cigarette after another. The ballpoint pen on the table was twirled back and forth by me out of rhythm. I was surprised at my own cold-heartedness. In the past, I was like a glass doll, a well-behaved and obedient girl. I studied hard and was admitted to a key high school. But my family let my twin brother take my place to go to that high school. They said that since I was a girl, I would eventually get married and be supported by my husband's family, so it was useless to study so much. I didn't hold any grudges. It wasn't just me. It was the same for all the girls in our village. So I helped my parents run the small store. At that time, I really envied Brother Phoenix and the others who could go to high school. Their school uniforms were so neat, and their faces were so energetic. Brother Phoenix came to buy potato chips at our small store. I always reserved his favorite flavor for him. He and his friends would laugh and joke together, talking about a life that I didn't understand. I would pretend to be counting the goods and secretly listen, looking at them eagerly every time I peeked. Brother Phoenix studied in the county and often wrote to me about his interesting stories and what he had seen. I thought Brother Phoenix was so amazing, not like me who knew nothing. I was clearly his little follower. I was clearly the one who could be made to cry thousands of times by him, but as long as he stood in front of me and called me Zephyr, I would go through fire and water for him, hug his neck and say, I love you, over and over again. But suddenly, something seemed to shatter. It turns out that love can really disappear. Iris called and asked to meet me in person. She was the girl who was sitting on Phoenix's lap. I refused. She wasn't qualified to meet me. She blocked me in the staff cafeteria. The little girl tugged at my sleeve, looked up at me with red eyes, and said with a sob that if I didn't talk to her, she would make a scene. I took her to my office. Sister, Brother Phoenix has you in his heart. She took the tea I poured for her, looking a bit nervous. He's really been having a hard time recently. You don't know how haggard he looks. As the little girl was talking, her crescent-shaped eyes became watery again. She bit her lower lip. As long as Brother Phoenix is okay, sister, I can step aside. She looked so pretty when she cried, like a pear flower in the rain, making people feel pity for her. Since he's in such a bad situation, you should care more about him, I said. The little girl was stunned. I said calmly, girl, if your man is hurt, you come to ask me to comfort him. That doesn't make sense. That's something you should consider. It's wrong to morally kidnap me. The little girl's eyes turned red. She said something about our years of relationship. I looked at her with a solemn gaze. Her tears fell like raindrops, and she whispered, then consider it as me begging you. Okay. I suddenly stood up. Kowtow to me 3 times. The little girl's face turned red and then white, and she was stunned again. I bent down and pressed my thumb against her lips. Girl, in this world, if people want something they have to exchange something for it. When begging others you have to have the right attitude. Not everyone is like Phoenix. You can't get everything you want just by acting coquettish. She was stunned for the 3rd time today and couldn't understand. This girl was 18 years old, with a round little face and watery eyes, like an innocent rabbit. She said she was a college student from a poor family. When she talked, she looked up, intentionally or unintentionally revealing a small part of her snow-white neck, looking like she was at others' mercy. And then she used the La Mer products that Phoenix bought for her without any qualms. Maybe this was what Phoenix called pure. When I was 18, I followed Phoenix to earn our first bucket of gold. I ate a pack of instant noodles for 3 days behind his back, but I never thought of going out with the older men who showed interest in me. I never thought of it. In terms of poor conditions, in our village, girls weren't even allowed to go to high school. Unfortunately, I don't live by selling my hardships. I had deep financial entanglements with Phoenix. If I wanted to sever them, I had to hire a lawyer. I called my legal advisor Astra. He put aside other business and showed up in front of me 20 minutes later. Astra was good-looking and young, only 27 years old. He always dressed in a sharp suit, looking like a business elite. He worked at the famous Ginza law firm in our city and had handled several major cases with social influence before. He was young and accomplished. I didn't hide my admiration for this young man. Astra and I met at our lowest point. At that time, Phoenix had just gone bankrupt, and I was with him, feeling like rats crossing the street. So many debt collectors blocked the factory gate. They wore mourning clothes, carried wreaths, and even held his portrait, shouting for him to come out and give an explanation. Phoenix climbed out of the window and left first. He pushed me out to explain to them. He said that since I was a woman, those people surely wouldn't hit me. I thought so too. Astra had just started working at that time. He was the bankruptcy administrator assigned by the government to coordinate the affairs of our factory. He thought for a moment and said that he would go with me to explain. Since he had the government's support, people should trust the government. I said okay, thanks. But I never expected that among the creditors who were causing trouble, there was one who hadn't received compensation for a work-related injury from Phoenix. His wife had died, and his little daughter was waiting for money to go to college. He was also driven to a dead end. He grabbed a bottle of concentrated sulfuric acid and was about to splash it on my face. If Astra hadn't quickly pushed me away, I would have been disfigured long ago. But a little bit of the sulfuric acid splashed on the back of Astra's hand, burning a copper coin-sized patch that was smoking. When they saw someone was injured, the creditors were thrown into chaos, and the incident of blocking the door was muddled through just like smoothing things over. I felt extremely guilty towards Astra. With a flushed face, I said, I'd like to give you some compensation, but as you know my situation, I can't even afford to pay your medical expenses now. Astra said casually that it was nothing. Seeing that I didn't say anything, he paused and then said, Sister Zephyr, if you feel guilty, help me sponsor the daughter of that employee who caused the accident. I'll give you the money. As a man, it doesn't look good for me to sponsor a female college student. In your name, she'll feel more at ease when taking the money. Life is really hard. If there had been any other way, he wouldn't have done this. Not everyone has such good conditions as mine. I looked up at him in surprise. He pulled his injured hand under the quilt, blushed and said with an embarrassed smile, when poor one should attend to one's own virtue in solitude, when prosperous one should help others throughout the world. I'm young and haven't been beaten down by society yet, so there are still some things I want to believe in. Sister Zephyr, you won't laugh at me for being pedantic, will you? I was a bit shocked. Looking down, I said, no. What Astra said also gave me some kind of inspiration. Later, all the paper mills in the whole industry discharged pollutants wantonly and evaded the inspections of the Environmental Supervision Department. Only our company spent tens of millions to purchase sewage purification equipment, strictly controlled it, and regularly reported it to the Environmental Protection Bureau for filing. I made this decision. I had the final say. I was quite surprised by Astra's sudden appearance today. I poured a cup of tea for him and said, I remember you have a court session this afternoon. It's just a small matter about asset division. You could just ask an assistant to take notes. You coming here in person really makes me feel flattered. I was worried about you. Worried about me? I smiled and waved my hand. However, come to think of it, people are really strange. I've been following your Phoenix brother since I was a child and have experienced a lot of things over the years. When I was a kid, I thought that if your Phoenix brother was gone, I would definitely commit suicide for him. If he didn't want me, it would be like the sky was falling down. Later, I did so many things outside, being beaten, scolded, insulted, and chased by debt collectors. There were successes, failures, being left with nothing, and starting all over again. Gradually, my temperament has also been tempered. To put it nicely, it's called being calm in the face of changes. To put it bluntly, it's just that I'm used to hardships. How did that saying of Wang Xiaobo go? I refilled Astra's tea and said, like an ox that has been hammered. It's just a failure in love. There have been so many failures in my short decades of life. Astra looked at me and a layer of indescribable pain slowly appeared in his eyes. Sister Zephyr, I know you. You usually act swiftly and decisively in doing things and seldom say so much nonsense. Don't deceive yourself, Sister Zephyr. This sentence blurted out by Astra was like a knife stabbing straight into my heart, and the pain came belatedly. I turned my head to look out of the window and my tears fell unexpectedly with a whoosh. I wiped them away calmly. When discussing things, crying like that just didn't look right. I hadn't seen Astra for quite a long time. After discussing the matter, I saw him downstairs. Coincidentally, I ran into Phoenix. His eyes fell on Astra and he was so angry that he laughed. Such a seamless transition, Zephyr. Have you no shame? Whether I have shame or not, you should know it in your heart. You yourself said I was dirty, and now you come to ask me if I have shame. What do you want to hear? Phoenix lowered his eyes to his toes and muttered that he was just talking nonsense. Suddenly, I felt really tired of all the back and forth. So I bit my lower lip, looked around and said, Brother Phoenix, let's just forget it. After all these years, let's leave each other some dignity. Phoenix still wanted to say something, but I was really annoyed. I turned my head and saw Astra standing there. Without thinking, I grabbed his tie and tiptoed to kiss him on the mouth. Astra didn't resist. Looking back, Phoenix's face instantly turned ashen and the light in his eyes disappeared, replaced by anger. Extreme anger. He threw a punch at Astra. Without thinking, I directly blocked in front of Astra. He was innocent. Phoenix's punch was quite heavy and hit me right in the stomach, forcing me to take a few steps back and fall on my butt. I couldn't get up for a long time. He hurried over to help me. Does it hurt a lot? I asked Phoenix. What? Seeing that I finally found someone else, it must hurt a lot, right? I said, over the years, I've seen how many women you've been with. Why didn't you ever think about whether I was hurting or not? He was a bit embarrassed. You knew about it? I knew everything. Oh. Those were just for fun. I finished the sentence for him. I felt a bit helpless. I looked up at him and before I knew it, my eyes turned red. I pleaded, Brother Phoenix, forget it. Let me go. Just like in those days, he put his hands in his pockets, held an umbrella in one hand and tilted it towards me a little. I squatted on the ground, reached out to grab a corner of his shirt and pleaded with red eyes, Brother Phoenix, take me away. Anything will do. I really don't want to live like this. Okay. Time seemed to overlap, and the two of us were like facing our former selves. He was silent for a while, nodded and said, okay. Back then, my twin brother used my name to enter a key high school and then got into a third-rate university. As soon as he entered the university, he found a girlfriend from the city. She wasn't good-looking, 145 centimeters tall and weighed 80 kilograms, but her family was quite wealthy. Looking back now, that girl didn't have any bad intentions. She was just spoiled. She was hostile towards me, because I was extremely beautiful, and my brother, of course, was extremely handsome, about as handsome as Daniel Wu. Frankly speaking, if my family's financial situation had been a bit better, with her looks, my brother wouldn't have taken a fancy to her. She knew it herself too. But she would buy my brother his favorite basketball shoes, headphones, mobile phones, and clothes. Probably because of her inferiority complex, she repeatedly belittled and suppressed me and my family. She would throw the clothes she didn't wear to me. It didn't matter. Then my family didn't need to spend money to buy clothes for me. It didn't matter if they were a bit loose or short on me. But I couldn't stand it when she threw the clothes she didn't wear to my mother with a haughty and contemptuous look and said to my mother, "Here you are. I'll just consider it as donating to the poor mountainous areas. Don't be choosy like beggars." What a pun. I immediately slapped her. She ran away, and my brother fell out with the whole family for her. He borrowed money to buy gifts to coax her and dragged me to apologize to her again and again. I couldn't stand it. My mother said that with our family situation, it was good enough for my brother to find a wife. I couldn't stand it. I was just too proud. We're all human beings, with one nose and two eyes. Why should I live like this? Later, my father died of illness, and our family lost its labor force. The family situation became increasingly bleak. Brother Phoenix didn't get into university and had been working in the city all the time. When my father died, he walked up to me in the rain and held an umbrella for me. I looked up at him and said, "Take me away. Take me to find money. Anything will do. I really don't want to live like this." Brother Phoenix suddenly pushed me against the wall and kissed me. Although I was a bit surprised, I didn't dislike it. My eyes, I had always been with Brother Phoenix, and we would be together for life. Was like a little tail following behind him and asking him eagerly, "Brother Phoenix, does that mean you've agreed? Will you take me with you?" Brother Phoenix turned around and smiled at me, reaching out to touch my head. When he smiled at me, the rain stopped, the wind died down, and the sky cleared up. The scariest thing in one's life is to look back and see the helpless self in the past. Occasionally I would dream of my father. That honest and simple farmer had short hair, always had a flattering smile when meeting people, and his fingers were chapped and black with dirt in the cracks. Actually, his illness back then wasn't that serious. But as rural people, they were afraid of spending money and didn't have the awareness of going to the hospital when they were sick. They just endured it until it was too late to save him, and then he passed away. Looking at it now, it was just a matter of a few thousand yuan. Just a few thousand yuan, and my mother lost her husband in her middle age, and my brother and I lost our father when we were young. If I had stayed in that village all the time and become the neighboring tsue auntie, or the pretty widow who joked around in the villagers' mouths and had never seen the broader world, that would have been okay. But I walked out, and I saw it. Today, a few thousand yuan isn't even enough for me to have a good meal. Looking back now, I understand what it means that children would like to support their parents only to find that they have passed away. After all, time waits for no one. After the bankruptcy turmoil, Cain was always up to no good with me. Later, when we got back on our feet and our business grew bigger and bigger, we entered the real estate industry. We were in the same industry as his family, and there were quite a lot of business exchanges. So for many things, we still had to negotiate. That guy Cain was a bit of a blockhead. When people were seriously negotiating with him, he suddenly said to me, "Oh, you're so eloquent." Then he took out a banana, licked it from the bottom to the top by himself, took a bite at the top, and pouted at me, "Want to try it?" It was so vulgar. It would be okay if I was alone, but sometimes when other people were around, he would also suddenly crack an inappropriate joke, which left everyone stunned. I couldn't bear it anymore and told his father that President Cain didn't have an attitude of cooperation at all. His father removed him from his position as general manager on the same day and locked him up at home. Cain rushed to my company and shouted at me, "Zephyr, stop pretending. You were so slutty back then. I don't believe you never begged me." I called the police directly. They arrested him. His father slapped him in front of me and apologized in various ways. I accepted it on the surface, but I still felt disgusted in my heart. Some second-generation rich kids are just so ungrateful. He didn't dare to mess with me again later, but he spread a lot of rumors outside. I don't know whether others believe them or not, and I don't care either. In fact, I know that once the clothes are taken off, they can't be put back on one by one. It's impossible to say that the cane incident had no impact on me. I had a bathroom renovated in my office and took 4 showers a day. There was nothing I could do about it. I read a lot of psychology books every day and forced myself to face it and confront it again and again. But the effect was just SOSO. After parting with Brother Phoenix, Astra insisted on driving me to the hospital. He kept asking me with an apologetic look whether my stomach hurt or if I was injured. I smiled and said, "I'm not that fragile. I'm not made of glass." Astra blushed and said sorry to me. I was a bit surprised. It was me who should have said sorry to him. I kissed him suddenly without his consent. I was so impulsive at that time, just like a child throwing a tantrum. Looking back now, it's a bit embarrassing. After a long while, I said, "I'm sorry. I always drag you to take the blame when something happens." Astra held the steering wheel, looked straight ahead, and swallowed hard. I saw the scar on the back of his hand from the sulfuric acid splash back then, and I felt even more ashamed. I hadn't even paid his medical expenses back then. I was so embarrassed. In a flurry, I touched a box. It was the birthday gift I brought for Phoenix from Seattle this time, a Rolex Submariner in green. Back when we had no money, Phoenix saw a big boss he was doing business with wearing this watch and told me how nice it looked. His envious look is still vivid in my memory. I checked it on Taobao. Goodness! It cost over 100,000 yuan. I told myself at that time that one day when my business took off and I had money, I would definitely give him that Rolex. My man didn't have to envy others. Now I could finally afford to give it, but it was no longer necessary. I took out the watch and gave it to Astra, saying, "I'm sorry. Here it is as an apology." Astra gave me a strange look and then burst out laughing. "What? Sister Zephyr, do you think you took advantage of me and want to pay me off? That's not what I meant." "Of course you didn't mean that." Astra slammed on the brakes and the car stopped beside the green belt. He stared straight at me, making me feel a bit shy. I inexplicably felt my mouth go dry and asked awkwardly, "What did you mean by saying sorry to me just now?" His ears turned red. "You kissed me so suddenly that I was flattered and didn't react for a while. I didn't have time to protect you and you got hit. I really feel bad about it." "Hey! It's nothing. I started the whole thing. It's me who got you into trouble." Astra just kept staring at me, which made me feel uneasy. After a while, he finally looked away and said casually, "I always want to behave better in front of you." My mind went blank with a buzz. I understood what he meant. "Astra," I interrupted him. "Don't say any more." Astra gave a dry laugh. "It's such a pity." He punched the steering wheel hard. There was a sharp beep. He turned to look at me. "Why didn't I meet you earlier?" Thanks to Astra, the division of property between Phoenix and me went quite smoothly. Phoenix offered me a diamond, but I didn't take it. He wanted to give me more assets, but I didn't accept them either. He said, "I want to catch another firefly for you, but it's winter now." I said there was nothing we could do about it. He invited me to dinner. His assistant asked where to book. He said to find an expensive and delicious restaurant. I said no. "Let's go to the one at the entrance of the village that sells big bowls of pulled noodles." It was our favorite in the past. We hadn't been there for quite a few years and suddenly I missed it. Phoenix said okay. The pulled noodles didn't taste good at all. It really surprised me. When I was a kid, I stole money from my parents and dragged Phoenix here to eat. I thought the landlady's cooking skills were so good that just thinking about the taste made my mouth water. My parents spanked my butt until it was red. I cried loudly but still thought it was worth it. Now I could hardly swallow it. After all, my horizons had broadened and delicacies were everywhere. The restaurant was poor in hygiene and decoration and it wasn't clean at all. It was just a shabby little place. There was nothing special about it. When did it change? Nobody could remember clearly. Halfway through eating the noodles, Phoenix made a gesture and said with some choking in his voice, "Can we not?" I stopped wiping the corner of my mouth with the tissue and looked up at him. "You know everything. You know me," he puffed up his cheeks. "As long as you say a word, I wouldn't have any other women. Why do you have to?" Yeah, I knew. I knew it was just empty talk. I had a deep affection for Phoenix. I knew he cared about me. Brother Phoenix was a strong and proud man. Since he was a child, he was the king of the kids in the village. When he was in primary school, he knew how to buy spicy strips from the grocery store in the neighboring village and sell them to his classmates at a markup of 1 or 2 jiao. Later, he contracted the sand and minerals in the village and took us out to do business. He started from scratch and earned his first and second pots of gold. Step by step, he got to where he was today. He was the first person in our village to get rich and also led us to prosperity. Brother Phoenix was smart, far-sighted, hardworking, and good at learning. He had his own ambitions and pride. That bankruptcy was his only failure. Actually, victory and defeat are common in war. Life is just like this, full of ups and downs. He should have been able to see through this. Looking at success and failure, life should be heroic. Just start all over again. However, what happened between me and Cain bent his spine. There was nothing we could do about it. If I had to do it again, I would still do the same. I don't regret it. It's just that as long as I was by his side, it would remind him of how powerless he was back then. Just like when I stood beside my father lying on the shabby straw mat, his hand in mine gradually turned cold. I just stood there, wearing the New Year's clothes that my father had saved money to buy for me. They were bright red and very beautiful, and I could only stand there, blankly. It was just a matter of a few thousand yuan. That hurdle, if we didn't get over it, we just didn't. Later, every time I spent a few thousand yuan, some scenes would flash back in my mind like a movie. Brother Phoenix was the same. After what happened with Cain, he couldn't look me in the eyes. Whenever I was absent-minded, downcast, or took a little longer in the shower, I could sense the unspeakable pain in his eyes. That was something we couldn't touch and never mentioned between us. After all, I had also changed a lot. I couldn't act coquettishly with him like before. I didn't talk as much. Most of the time, I devoted myself to work. I became calm and rational. Between us, on every sunny day, when we looked up, there was always gloom. Finally, I became addicted to smoking and he became addicted to drinking. We had nothing to say when we looked at each other. Just one glance was full of pain. In the end, time didn't leave us with anything but regrets. As for Brother Phoenix's affairs with other women, at first, it was just a way to vent and an accident. He wasn't deliberately doing it. As for what he thought later, I didn't want to ask. It didn't matter. Of course, he did those things behind my back, and of course, I was more sensitive than he thought. He could only pretend to be wild and say to others that he was just playing around with me. What else could he do? Cain spread so many rumors outside. Brother Phoenix couldn't bear the humiliation. He was such a proud man. That's how it was. Actually, even without those women, Brother Phoenix and I couldn't continue our relationship. Our relationship ended the moment I climbed into Cain's bed. In the following years, it was all just an illusory and fragile pretense that could be broken with a single blow. We couldn't go back. Over the years, we had been trying. But we just couldn't go back. Brother Phoenix gently touched my glass with his and lowered his head, saying, "I'm sorry. I have an inexpressible sense of guilt towards you. It's okay." I shook my head and said it was okay. It was all my own choice. I said that anyway. I thanked him for showing me a different world. I had never regretted it. I shook my head and said I didn't regret it. I was willing, and you were worthy back then. I stood up and said goodbye to him. He opened his arms, wanting to hug me. I shook my head. I didn't want to. I didn't know why, but I just didn't want to. It started to snow. When the snow was heavy, I turned around and walked straight ahead. I couldn't look back. I didn't know how long I had walked or how many streets and alleys or corners I had passed. I was a bit at a loss. I stumbled and somehow fell down, with my face landing in the snow. It was so cold. Coincidentally, there were young guys riding wild motorcycles, making a lot of noise and posing. Their super low frequency loudspeakers were playing inappropriate children's songs. Big brother, would you like to go and catch loach with me? Suddenly, so many past memories flooded into my mind, overwhelming me. Brother Phoenix made grasshopper cages for me. Brother Phoenix gave me lollipops. Brother Phoenix held an umbrella for me. Brother Phoenix picked me up and took me home. Brother Phoenix drove away one bad-intentioned boy after another for me. Brother Phoenix held my hand and walked out of that desolate and poor small mountain village step by step, coming to this bustling and brightly lit place. In this brightly lit place, when I suddenly looked back, on the long road since the snow melted, there was only a sight too painful to look at. Don't think about it. Stop thinking about it, I told myself. Don't look back. I need to work. I need to numb myself. When I looked up, the neon sign of the Tonight bar was flashing. I strode in and ordered the strongest liquor. I needed alcohol. When the strong liquor went down my throat, my internal organs felt like they were burning. I couldn't hold my liquor well and soon my eyes became blurry. I closed my eyes and asked myself how long had it been since I cried unrestrainedly. I covered my eyes with my hands. Tears fell like a heavy rain, shattering on the ground, but somehow, I couldn't make a sound. After a long time, someone patted me on the shoulder. When I turned around, it was Astra. What a coincidence, I smiled at him. His eyes darkened. It's not a coincidence. I've been right behind you. As long as you turned around. I pressed my face against the glass and lifted my eyelids to look at him, chuckling. Such a young face. In a daze I saw Brother Phoenix standing in front of me. It seemed that time had gone back to the very beginning. At the beginning he was still a teenager with light in his eyes and dreams in his heart. Standing there he looked so energetic. Brother Phoenix put his arm around my shoulders and swayed from side to side. His protruding nose rubbed against my neck. When I giggled because it tickled, his warm breath blew on my ear and he said, "Do you know what the meaning of my struggle in this life is? It's to let you live the best life. Okay?" In the Tonight bar I pressed my side face against the glass, looked at the person in front of me sideways and said casually, "Okay." I stood up and after just a few steps I fell into that person's arms. The night fell heavily. The air became quiet and thin, the neon lights gave off a thin halo, blurry and a bit sticky and unpleasant. I woke up on an extremely clean and big bed. I was wearing a white men's shirt. My head hurt terribly, the gorgeous chandelier in front of me made my eyes dizzy. It seemed that this was a villa with a minimalist decoration. I sat up on the bed with a start. Everything from last night flashed through my mind like a revolving lantern. There was a man who took me home. He was very handsome. I was drunk and unrestrained. I grabbed his collar a bit arrogantly, stood on tiptoe and gave him a passionate kiss. Brother Phoenix. I called his name over and over again. In my dream I called his name again and again. Like a child who got separated from his parents and was left alone in the square, like a victim who grabbed a life-saving straw in a boundless flood. I said we got separated, but we were so close. How could we get separated? Over the years life has already taught me that the result is the result. What has happened, there aren't so many whys. Maybe it's fate. But I still wanted to ask. I just hated it. I wasn't reconciled. Why could my younger brother's first girlfriend insult my mother unscrupulously while my father could only lie on that shabby straw mat? Why was that bridge loan just a matter of lifting a finger for Cain? We would have paid it back to him with high interest after we got through that difficult time and restructured in 4 months. But I had to let him humiliate and trample on me like a prostitute? Among them, who is more capable or nobler than me? I was hysterical and acting crazy from the alcohol. No, the man whose collar I was grabbing took a breath and said, looking at me with deep eyes, "No, none of them is better than you." So, his eyes were as dark as ink. "So, Sister Zephyr, you came from the depths of the mountains, from that corner forgotten by society. Now your younger brother has married the kind-hearted girl he loves, and their children will grow up in love and beauty. Your mother is spending her remaining years peacefully in a seaside villa in Sonia. And that desolate village where you came from has, with your investment and support, been vigorously developing tourism. New roads have been built, and every household has erected tall buildings, built hospitals, parks, and schools. It's like a beautiful small town now. You're an outstanding entrepreneur. This is what true common prosperity is all about. I lowered my head, feeling tipsy. I looked up, my eyes blurred with tears as I gazed at him. So now, it's not only boys who can get an education, right? There are no bachelors buying wives anymore, and no one has to endure illness without treatment and wait for death. Everything has become better, right? Yes. My head drooped, my hair wet, and I felt like a stray dog. What about me? I thought about it over and over again. What about me? From the very beginning to the end, what I wanted was very simple. To have a warm little house with Brother Phoenix, not having to worry about grocery money, being able to eat meat once a week, and being able to buy some nice floral clothes. I would be satisfied to the point of hiccuping if I could live this life without disasters or illnesses. But now, the countless lights in the city seem so far away, and none of them has anything to do with me. I'm lost in time and space, with no place to go forward and no way back. I just stand there blankly, listening to the hollow sound of the bell coming from the distance, one after another. There's no way around it. There always has to be a generation that gets scarred while building all this, the man in front of me said. I let out a loud laugh and fell backward. The soft bed caught me. Something suddenly dawned on me, and I became sober in an instant. You can arrange the land as you see fit. The village chief replied quickly, That's great, Zoe. You're the only one left in our village who hasn't signed. I was wondering if you were never going to. When I woke up, I was wearing this men's shirt, and I was stunned on the spot. Did I have sex after getting drunk? How absurd. I was horrified and quickly touched my lower back. There was no pain, and there were no cuts. My kidneys were still there. Some delicious smells came from the kitchen, like shrimp. The fragrance made my mouth water. The young man, wearing a snow-white shirt and black suit pants, walked out of the kitchen. His hair was neatly combed. There was a bowl of seafood and vegetable porridge on the tray in his hand. I looked up and saw that it was Astra. I remembered. It was Astra who picked me up last night, and the man who talked to me was also Astra. Suddenly, I felt relieved, thinking fortunately it was Astra. Astra smiled brightly at me. Go wash up. In the early morning, have some porridge. I looked at the men's shirt on me, and my face turned ashen. This? I rubbed my hands awkwardly. Well, there was nothing I could do. Astra smiled. Sister Zephyr, you clung to me like an octopus last night. I had no choice. I blushed all over, like a cooked octopus. Sister Zephyr? Astra moved closer to me. You're not going to be a spoilsport, are you? I didn't know how to explain it to him. After thinking for a while, I said, I never play around. I decided to tell the truth. Frankly speaking, I don't know how to handle this now. How about we give it a try and date? No, I frowned. Even after years of struggling, I still haven't forgotten Phoenix. It wouldn't be fair to you. I don't care, Astra said casually. How about using me to heal your wounds? No. I'm not too bad, right? Astra shrugged and looked around. I don't think I'm much worse than Phoenix in every aspect. I was a bit helpless. There are so many young girls. What do you like about me? There are indeed many young girls, but there are hardly any who are as sincere, brave, and loyal as Sister Zephyr. Well, that flattery really made me feel good. I smiled and said, Astra, if I know that I don't love you that much but still agree to give it a try, wouldn't I be a bit of a jerk? Astra glanced at me sideways. Am I afraid that you'll be a jerk? I'm willing to accept the consequences. Don't worry. I'm not that fragile. When people reach middle age, life becomes more ordinary. When it comes to falling in love, I really don't have the mood to act coquettishly like a young girl. I can't play those games of repeatedly asking, do you love me, to confirm others' feelings either. And I don't need to confirm it either. What if someone loves me? What if they don't? Everyone is busy. If we get along, we stay together, if not, we part ways. Just talk about things when there are issues. Solve conflicts when there are contradictions. Communicate seriously, and be concise and to the point. So dating Astra is actually quite efficient. After getting along for a while, when there are problems, we can both explain clearly to each other, and we haven't quarreled many times. We're quite compatible. I found out that Astra is actually quite wealthy. He's truly a second-generation heir. The female college student, the daughter of the employee who got a work-related injury and splashed sulfuric acid on me, sponsored by Astra, has graduated. Well, he's just having fun. I don't have the intention to pry into it. I have a bunch of things on my hands and a group of employees to support. The female college student, the daughter of the employee who got a work-related injury and splashed sulfuric acid on me, sponsored by Astra, has graduated. She's now studying for a postgraduate degree at Tsinghua University, majoring in clinical medicine. Currently, she's following professors to tackle some medical problems. She worked overtime during the epidemic and also contributed her share. I'm really proud of her. How emotional. Sometimes a person's fate really hinges on a single moment. Astra has never been particular about food, clothing, housing, and transportation. He thinks it's okay as long as it's clean and sunny and looks appropriate for business. He doesn't care much about brands. He's not hard to take care of. Astra donated money to build several schools and libraries in our local area without leaving his name. He's quite generous. In comparison, I feel that I'm rather stingy. I praised Astra without reservation and almost wanted to give him a silk banner. I said that he has that initial purity that belongs to a young person. Astra became serious instead. Sister Zephyr, it's different. I haven't suffered much since I was a child. I could originally choose what I wanted to do whatever I wanted, and I didn't have much concept of money. But you're different. You've suffered a lot, yet you're still protecting beautiful things. You also said with emotion some time ago that your village has prospered, and now girls are also being sent to school. You've invested a lot of money to improve the local medical and health conditions. It's already a great merit. You also said that you hoped everyone would be well and didn't want there to be a second girl like you. My purity comes from having experienced fewer things, while yours comes from a vibrant and indomitable vitality. If I were in your position, the probability of my psychology getting distorted would be much higher. I definitely couldn't be like you. I smiled. Well, you're really praising me to the skies. I'm just a poor wretch. Astra's eyes shifted to one side, and there was a bit of bitterness in his tone as he said in a low voice, Sister Zephyr, even though Phoenix treated you like that, you've never said a bad word about him until now. There aren't many women in the world who can be as magnanimous as you. I smiled faintly. Phoenix. Just the mention of this name brought endless pain to my heart. Fortunately, that pain has been slowly decreasing over time. I know that eventually, it will disappear one day. Suddenly, I'm looking forward to the arrival of that day. I lowered my gaze. No one is absolutely good or bad. Without him, I wouldn't be who I am today. Without him, I would probably be Aunt Wang at the entrance of the village, struggling in trifles all my life. Over the years, Phoenix has also been nice to me many times. Those weren't fake. I prefer to remember them. Let bygones be bygones. Life is so long. We can't become ugly in appearance because of past failures and grudges. People should always strive to become better. Astra looked at me and said, You're right. In fact, I was indeed using Astra to heal my wounds. Fortunately, the effect was good. I told him this clearly. I said that if one day I didn't want to heal my wounds anymore or felt that it was boring, I would leave at any time. Don't think that I'm cold-hearted or that I'll turn my back on you then. Astra smiled and reached out to pat my head for the first time. In an ordinary relationship, anyone has the right to leave at any time. Cain just won't leave me alone. Useless second-generation heirs are so boring. They can't find a foothold in their shallow lives and their meager wisdom can't support an independent personality. Their spiritual core is as weak as mud. They can't make a mark in business, so they can only focus on women to show off their abilities. Over the years, Cain has suffered a lot at my hands, because he was always being mean and playing tricks. He often tried to play dirty tricks on Phoenix behind my back. But I'm no longer the person I used to be, and he couldn't get any advantage. Later, he turned his spearhead against Phoenix again. Phoenix was already a strong person, and now after going through various experiences, he's become much more stable and doesn't get angry and start fighting easily anymore. So Phoenix secretly set a trap for him, causing his father's company to lose more than 80 million yuan. Cain was really pained by that. Cain, being stupid, repeated his old trick: if he couldn't deal with you, he would target your woman. He drove a flashy sports car, went to Iris's school gate to send her flowers and gifts, and then said all kinds of cheesy love words like, "I'm full of you in my mind," and "I'm on an 4 drip, missing you at night." Iris quickly fell for him. She's a young girl, full of romantic fantasies in her head, and it's too easy for her to mistake some things for love. Where is there so much love? If she directly dumped Phoenix and went with Cain, I wouldn't have felt much. It's not wrong for Phoenix to pay the price for what he wants by any means. But this girl is trying to have the best of both worlds between Phoenix and Cain. And she thinks she's so clever, believing that men are all stupid lapdogs who can't live without her. People really need to know themselves sometimes. People with limited perception always think that others are as stupid as they are. If we were really that stupid, wouldn't all our years of struggling in society be in vain? Phoenix didn't think twice and just threw her to Cain, which made Cain feel rather unaccomplished. He played with her for 2 days and then left her aside. Iris couldn't accept it. Well, it's hard for people to go from luxury to frugality. After being supported by men for so long, she couldn't lower her standards anymore. The men who chased her were generally not that wealthy. Her WeChat moments were full of all kinds of coquettish selfies and confusing remarks like, "How can someone who has been protected by a lion look at a wild dog?" And "if you carry a 30,000 yuan bag, men will send you a 30,000 yuan bag." Her thoughts were completely laid bare. She thought she deserved it, thought she could control it, and extremely naively thought that I was secretly sowing discord. I don't know how she got such an idea. She even came to my company to make a scene, saying that I was sowing discord between her and Phoenix, that I was two-faced, and that I was jealous of her youth. Come on. I'm working on a project. I'm busy with my job. I don't have time to think about other things. Moreover, I don't think I'm living on my youth and beauty. I'm even a bit annoyed. Why do some young girls always attribute the motives of all human behaviors to the relationship between men and women? Can't I focus on my career? Can't I study for the rise of China? Can't I strive to bring peace to the world? Our ways of thinking are not on the same level. It's impossible to make myself understood. I waved my hand and asked my assistant to see the guest out. Iris, as a girl, swore in public. It was really ugly. Cain didn't stop causing trouble either. He came to pick on me again, just because he thought I didn't show him enough respect. Well, I didn't want to show him any respect either. Especially after he knew that I was with Astra, he became even more active. Astra's father and Cain's father had served in the same army when they were young. Cain's father was subordinate to Astra's father. Astra and Cain were just nodding acquaintances. Once at a banquet, Astra and I were present, and Cain was there too. Everything was fine at first. When the banquet was over and people were walking out of the hotel, Astra opened the car door for me. But then Cain rushed over and stupidly said to Astra in front of me, "Oh, opening the car door. You really take her seriously." Over the past few years, Cain has insulted me to my face many times. I had already become calm and didn't care about it. If he said something again, I would just retort directly. Sometimes I could be quite shameless. I simply didn't admit the things between him and me. After all, he didn't have any evidence. So he often licked his lips in front of me and said in a strange tone that he regretted not recording it back then. I often retorted that if he had recorded it, I had 10,000 ways to get him into trouble. But when he said that in front of Astra today, I felt really sad after hearing it. I was sad for no reason. I even wanted to cry. I was holding the car door with one hand, feeling at a loss. Astra raised his eyelids and glanced at Kane. Your wife is the one who's worthless, right? Astra pointed at him and said, wake up. You don't have a wife. In our circle, which decent girl would take a fancy to you? How many times has your old man begged for marriage humbly? And how did the girl's family respond? Don't you know it in your heart? He even asked my father to be a guarantor. My father refused on the pretext that he wasn't good at talking. Don't you all know the real reason? My father thought it was shameful. Only those who are incompetent always think about the relationship between men and women. You think you're somebody just because you played with a few online influencers. Have you paid off your debts yet? Kane was choked and his face turned red and then white. But he didn't dare to say anything. He just threw out a harsh word, gritted his teeth, and left. After getting in the car, Astra looked back at me in the back seat and said, don't bother with that guy. In our circle, everyone knows what kind of person he is. I don't know where my anger came from. I opened the car door and got out of the car. Astra got out of the car too and held me back. What's wrong? I licked my lips, took out a cigarette with my trembling hand. I hadn't smoked for a long time, not since I was with Astra. For some reason, I suddenly wanted to smoke. I cupped my hands to light the cigarette, blew out a smoke ring, and my eyes became as casual as before. Yeah, I looked around. What Kane said is true. I did climb into his bed for money. All the rumors he spread are true. You must have heard them, right? He smiled. You're an adult. What is there to worry about? There was an unread message on WeChat. Narcissus, Athena, I haven't refunded the plane tickets yet. My heart was on the verge of falling and was about to be swallowed up. The feeling of suffocation hit me directly and gradually became overwhelming. Here it comes again. Here it comes again. I closed my eyes and tears fell down my cheeks. Suddenly, I realized that I was still in the same place. All the calmness and indifference that I thought I had achieved over the years were just superficial. I couldn't get over that hurdle at all. And it seemed that I started to care about Astra. I cared about his opinion of me. I lowered my head, not daring to look into his eyes. It was really a bad thing. I shouldn't have said that we could give it a try at the beginning. Maybe it was just to give an explanation for sleeping with him and also to find someone to heal my wounds. I felt like a snail. As soon as I slightly poked my head out to touch on something, I would quickly withdraw into my shell. And that shell, I could never shed in my life. Just let it be. I forced a smile, shrugged my shoulders and spread my hands, pretending to be completely calm. Astra, you've seen it. There's nothing we can do about some things. Let's break up. You said it yourself. A gambler must accept losses. Astra looked down at the tips of his shoes. I laughed loudly and turned around to leave. As soon as I took a step, I was pulled into his arms by a strong force. He buried his head in my neck, and his warm breath blew on my ear. It's because of that bankruptcy thing, right? I thought so, he said in a low voice. I'm really sorry. Seriously, Astra hugged me tightly, as if he wanted to merge me into his bones and blood. He said, at that time, I was just an ordinary employee among the bankruptcy administrators. I was only responsible for creditor registration. Tasks like sorting out the reasons for bankruptcy and reorganization had nothing to do with me. I didn't know anything about your situation. I'm sorry. He said, Zephyr, I didn't know. If I had known, I definitely wouldn't have let you suffer that kind of humiliation from Kane. I'm sorry. I didn't know you had such a hard time back then. Really. As he spoke, he punched the front of the car, denting it. I quickly grabbed his arm, afraid that he would hurt his hand. It's all in the past, he hugged me and murmured softly. We'll be fine in the future. Just be fine. Suddenly tears fell from my eyes. In Astra's European-style villa. He hugged my waist and kissed me on the mouth. His kiss was fresh like the sweet lemon flavor under the swaying tree shadows in summer. His slightly stubbly beard rubbed against my chin. I felt completely melted. To be honest, I still felt quite sorry for him. I'm used to being free and easy and doing things. I don't like to be indecisive and I often reflect on myself. My heart hasn't been emptied. It's hard to believe that Phoenix doesn't have a place in it. However, the sky and the earth seemed to overlap. Our eyes were blurred. I was like a fish out of water being beaten by the surging waves with the longing to struggle for survival. Whether voluntarily or involuntarily, I was in a muddled state. I saw a dark road. Phoenix was standing at the starting point. I walked forward. I walked past him all alone. I closed my eyes. I was with someone else. I cut off all my retreats. Almost compulsively I told myself never to look back. Astra with his well-defined knuckles held my chin and forced me to open my mouth. He bit my lips tightly with a somewhat overbearing and aggressive air and asked me again and again, "Who am I?" Astra. Louder. I tensed my instep and shouted hoarsely, "Astra." He seemed quite satisfied. After making me exhausted he pulled away. "Don't feel guilty towards me." Astra stared at the ceiling. "I'm not as good as you think. I have all the selfishness, cruelty, coldness, and indifference that ordinary people have. You haven't done anything wrong to me. You don't have to feel sorry for me, and there's no need to accommodate me because of this sense of guilt." Astra raised his hand to cover his eyes. "When it comes to the past, who doesn't have a past? I'm not young anymore. You don't think I'm a blank sheet of paper, do you? How do you know that I wasn't a playboy in the past, cheating girls everywhere?" I was stunned for a moment. Astra pinched my face. "Wake up, Zephyr. You're not that great. Don't you know how beautiful you are? How do you know that I'm not attracted to your body? I'm a normal man. If I wanted to sleep with other beautiful girls like you, they would at least ask me for an apartment, and they would be quite justified. Only you would feel sorry for me." "What? You're just attracted to my body? Your focus." Astra was stunned for a while. "Don't you really understand what I'm saying?" He smiled. "Zephyr, you're quite cute." After a while he excitedly came closer. "What? Are you afraid that I'm only attracted to your body? Are you starting to care about me? Are you starting to worry about gains and losses?" I pushed his face away with one hand. I knew he was trying to comfort me, but I couldn't help feeling a bit downcast. "There aren't many men like you." "Not many?" He looked at me sideways. "I'm the only one in the world, okay. But Zephyr, you're really too sentimental. Have you heard of a playboy? Do you know about one-night stands? Others can be as wild as they want without feeling anything wrong, but you look so sad. If you want to break up with me because of this, I definitely won't agree." "Then give me an apartment?" Astra burst out laughing. "Okay, Zephyr. How about this villa? You can move in right away. If you don't like it, I'll renovate it again according to your favorite style." He held me in his arms. "You'll be the mistress here, and I'll just live here as a lodger." I smiled and pushed him. "Silly." Astra shook his head from side to side. "You should call me darling." "Okay, young people are just so lively and cute." Astra asked someone to make a cake and send it over saying that it was to celebrate our first time. I blushed a little when he said that, but suddenly remembered something. Wait, the first time? That time in the bar? The corners of Astra's mouth twitched. "Zephyr, you really think dirty of me. You were unconscious when you were sleeping. What's the point of me doing that? Am I that kind of person? Your clothes were changed by the aunt at home. Then why did you admit it?" Astra smiled a bit slyly and took a sip of wine casually. "Because I've seen through you. You're very passive in relationships. Once you're with someone, you'll be devoted to that person. Whoever can be dominant and lead you, you'll follow. I just wanted to take advantage of this thought of yours and cling to you. As it turns out, I succeeded." "Yeah. What? After all this time I was the prey?" I couldn't help but curl my lips in helplessness. Astra hugged me. "Now you know that I'm not a good guy, right?" He put his arm around my shoulders and swayed me from side to side. "Zephyr, you're doomed now, you know? I advise you to be sensible. You have no choice but to fall in love with me." Okay, young people are just so lively and cute. It infected me and made my wrinkled heart gradually become younger and more relaxed. People shouldn't be exposed to easy money too early. People had better not touch things that are beyond their ability to control. Otherwise they are likely to sink into them. It hasn't been long and Iris has been using her mind to hook up with men everywhere. She probably has learned a lot from those motivational quotes. When Astra used to drive a shabby Hyundai to work at his law firm, Iris didn't even look at him although he was extremely handsome. Later when she heard that I was with Astra, she was quite disdainful of me behind my back, saying that I was old and faded, relying on my little money to keep a young boy. Ah well. I looked at myself in the mirror again and again but couldn't see any signs of losing my charm at all. Astra is a young and cute guy? Hee hee. That description is rather lovely. Let it be like this. Later Iris somehow found out about Astra's family background and always made excuses to get close to him. Things like being harassed by a pervert on the bus or being coveted by some sleazy men. She was like a little crybaby, looking so pitiful, and went to Astra's law firm for legal consultation. Astra handled commercial cases and company mergers and restructurings. He didn't take cases like hers that were trifling and insignificant. Astra asked his assistant to notify her. Firstly, he quoted a price. For cases with a legal fee of less than 1 million yuan, there was no room for negotiation. Secondly, he told her to find someone else. Iris went back and forth about 10 times dejectedly. After hitting a wall, she didn't go there anymore. Her WeChat moments then became, "Just because you're rich doesn't mean you're superior. Women should be independent and strong. Go for it. Independent women are the most beautiful. You can definitely have what you want. Only when you become excellent can you meet amazing people." Accompanied by her photoshopped beautiful pictures of herself on a yacht at sea. Actually, I hadn't been on a yacht at sea yet. I was too busy and didn't have time for it. Suddenly being lured by her, I kind of wanted to go out and play. So these days I arranged my work in advance and planned to invite Astra to go together next month. I just had to see if he was available. However, before I even made the call, I saw that Iris had posted a grid of 9 pictures, a set of 9 pictures, on her WeChat moments. It was about checking in at the most luxurious Western restaurant in the city. In the center position of the 9 pictures was a photo of her and Astra. She was making a V sign with her fingers, smiling happily, almost falling into Astra's arms. Astra was also smiling. Just an ordinary smile that didn't show any special meaning. I threw my phone aside and suddenly felt bored. Work. In the evening Astra called me but I didn't answer. Then he called my office landline. My assistant answered it and came to tell me that Astra asked me to go home for dinner and said that he had cooked Western food. I frowned and said, "Just tell him that I'm really busy and don't have time." Astra didn't call again after that. He didn't call for a whole week. Damn it. I actually had some expectations. What on earth was I expecting? Let it be like this. I lowered my head and lit another cigarette. I asked the driver to go back first and walked alone on the street with my hands in my pockets. The street was brightly lit and I just kept walking by myself. It was the hottest time in summer. When the warm wind blew over, I strangely felt a bit cold. This is how it is among adults. There are too many things that are tacitly understood. When breaking up, we don't say it out loud. Even after breaking up, we act as if nothing had happened. Let it be like this. A few days later, Blue Ocean Real Estate of Kane's family had a major problem. The newly built building collapsed, due to cutting corners and unlimited cost reduction. Coincidentally, the country was going to hold a rather important meeting in this city, so it had a very bad social impact. The bank was shocked and directly announced that the loan was due ahead of schedule. Those who run businesses all know that when the bank withdraws loans, it's like pulling the rug out from under one's feet. Kane's father also found quite a number of guarantee companies and intermediaries, and even the government coordinated. It couldn't be said that it was useless. The bank temporarily agreed to conduct an inspection. It seemed that this matter could be minimized or even resolved. However, at this critical moment, Kane got into trouble. Once several girls who had been harmed by him exposed the situation, it was a big deal. It was on the hot search for 3 days and 3 nights. He tried to do public relations for a long time, but it was useless. He was directly summoned by the police for questioning. In less than a week, the procuratorate approved his arrest. I had met the lawyer who provided legal aid to the victim girls once. He had a good relationship with Astra. For a while Kane and his blue ocean real estate were deeply mired in trouble. Actually, those affairs in the romantic and dissipated world were not enough to deal a fatal blow to an enterprise. The real last straw that broke the camel's back was that someone anonymously reported and provided solid evidence of tax evasion. This time the public completely lost confidence. Major creditors sued for bankruptcy, the government couldn't bear to see it anymore, and the court announced the start of the bankruptcy process. When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. The administrator in charge of Blue Ocean Real Estate's bankruptcy business was Astra's team. He was so good at his job that he almost monopolized it. When I heard these news, I felt quite emotional for a while. Life is just like this, full of ups and downs. If you have something dirty on your hands, the bombs buried when you are on top of the world will explode one day. After dealing with work for a day, my car was stopped by a black Porsche when I was off work. I thought there was some dispute. I asked the driver to go and check. Before he could do that, a person got out of the car in front and knocked on my car window. It was Astra. With a bright smile on his face, Astra reached out and pinched my face. Wow. Zephyr, you're so cold-hearted. If I don't call you, you won't come to find me, right? I slapped his hand away. Astra didn't pay attention to me at all and continued to pinch my face. Seeing that I was a bit angry, he directly opened the car door and pulled me out. Astra was very strong. Although I tried hard to resist, I was still pulled into his arms like a ball and was half dragged and half forced into his car. I shouted to the driver, "Uncle Wang, save me." Astra made a gesture to Uncle Wang. Uncle Wang stood there awkwardly, not knowing whether to save me or not. Finally he gave an expression that seemed to say, "It's none of my business when a couple quarrels," and just let Astra stuff me into the back seat. Astra. I angrily protected the collar of my shirt that had been messed up by him. He pushed me down on the back seat of the car and lowered his head to give me a domineering kiss. I struggled a few times but couldn't push him away, so I just closed my eyes and let him do it. After a while Astra finished kissing. He pressed my head and then opened the door and got into the driver's seat. And I seemed to have gone through a disaster. With my hair messed up like a bird's nest by him, I sat helplessly in the back seat. Astra drove me home. He got out of the car and knocked on the window. "Honey, are you still angry?" I glared at him with wide eyes. "If you're still angry, I'll get more and more excited." "Zephyr, is this jealousy delicious?" "You can keep being jealous for a few more days. It would be best if you were so heartbroken that you wanted to die. Then I'll feel that I'm more important." He tapped my head. "However, I'll be reluctant if you get sick from being angry. Look, haven't I come here to make amends? By the way, I'll give you a big gift." I lifted my eyelids. "Don't tell me it's your villa." "How could that be?" "That thing, how could you fancy it?" I folded my arms with interest. "Oh? How's your cash flow? Do you have the ability to take over Blue Ocean Real Estate?" I immediately realized what he meant. I understood. Now that Blue Ocean Real Estate had problems, it would definitely package and sell its core assets and surely had to introduce new investors to take over. As our companies were in the same industry, we were surely covetous of some of the high-quality resources left by Blue Ocean. It has to go through bidding, I thought for a while. My cash flow can't keep up. I'm not sure if I can take over Blue Ocean Real Estate. What about cooperating with other enterprises? We have to negotiate. It takes time. Let me think about it. Astra gave a sly smile. My father has an investment company. How about considering partnering with me? When he said that, I got excited. Astra opened the car door for me. "Well, are you willing to get out of the car now?" I gave him a fierce glare. I went inside and had a meal and then discussed with Astra about Blue Ocean Real Estate for a long time. I thought this project had potential and planned to report it to the board of directors tomorrow and start preparing for the bidding. After the meal I called a car to go home. Astra hugged my waist from behind. "Are you still angry?" I was silent for a while. "If you think that just because your father agreed to invest in me, some things can be overlooked, then I can give up this business. These are two different matters." "All right, I'll lay my cards on the table," Astra shrugged. That mess with Kane was caused by me. I can say that I was the one who got him into trouble. I met Iris just to use her and get information from her. Some women are more gossipy. She hated Kane and had stayed by his side for a while. The reason why I did it behind your back was that I didn't want you to think that my means were despicable. I said that I wanted to behave better in front of you, but there was no other way. You found out anyway. Suddenly I didn't know what to say. Don't ask me why I targeted Kane. I just didn't like him. Okay? Besides, if he really had no problems, could I have done anything to him? I was stunned for a moment and then reached out to touch his furry head. Astra was like a little puppy rubbing against my neck. He mumbled in a muffled voice, "Zephyr, I've explained it clearly now. Look how good I am. I picked you up and cooked a big table of delicious food for you. So, can't my queen stay overnight at my place?" I was amused by his tone and turned around with a straight face. "There are still some things that you have to let me know." Okay. Astra took my hand. "It's my fault. I promise that there will be nothing in the future that you, as a VIP, don't know about." I was tickled by him and burst out laughing. In mid-July Astra and I went out to sea. The sea and the sky were of the same color, an extremely clear blue, even more boundless than I had imagined. The takeover and acquisition of Blue Ocean Company went quite smoothly. Kane's charges were confirmed and he was sentenced to 13 years in prison. Iris saw that there was no hope with Astra, so she set her sights on one rich man after another. Whatever. There are so many wealthy men in this world. She'll surely manage to hook a few. Anyway, these are all things that have nothing to do with me. After traveling abroad for more than a month and coming back, someone gave me a rather delicate box. When I opened it, there was a firefly with its wings folded. I opened the curtain. Under the huge floor-to-ceiling window, I saw Phoenix standing not far away with his hands in his pockets looking up at me in the floor-to-ceiling window. Phoenix had aged a lot. His originally straight back was a bit hunched and he looked rather dispirited. I was moved in my heart, but it was just a momentary feeling. The matter of reporting Blue Ocean Company's tax evasion was closely related to Phoenix. Most likely it was under his instruction. I didn't know what his motive was, and it didn't matter what his motive was. Anyway, it had nothing to do with me. I looked at Phoenix from a distance and called him. I said, "Brother Phoenix, anyway, I still hope you live well." Okay. Phoenix nodded a bit shyly with a restrained tone. The air was silent for a while and the atmosphere was a bit awkward. I never expected that in just half a year between him and me I wouldn't even know what to say. Actually, there has been a long period of time when we had nothing to say to each other. After all, our love was deep but our fate was shallow. Once we missed each other, it was truly a miss. Even though we had supported each other through 20 years, it was still a miss in the end. I spent a long time watching him disappear into the passage of time. Later he used one woman after another to tell me that it was meaningless to pursue him. Is he good to you? After an unknown period of time, Phoenix stammered out such a corny question. I lowered my eyes and said, "He's quite good." That's good. He choked up a bit and repeated it nervously like a child. The door behind me was pushed open with a creak. It was Astra who brought me braised chicken and rice. He was really extremely smart. With just one glance at the atmosphere, he knew who I was talking to on the phone. He shrugged and his tone was a bit awkward. "It seems that I've come at a bad time." "No." I hung up the phone, turned around and smiled at him. "You've come at just the right time." Astra put on a sullen face, wrapped his arm around my waist and said fiercely, "Don't talk to him anymore in the future, got it? Do you care about this?" I bit my lower lip, grabbed his tie and pulled it down roughly, then stood on tiptoe and gave him a passionate kiss. I stroked his face and blew gently into his ear. "Are you jealous about this?" "Oh, it's really boring, Astra. I've heard that you men are a competitive species." I rolled my eyes, took a step back and sat on the desk, then looked at him with a smile and lowered my eyes. "Since I'm by your side, it means that you are stronger than all the men I've ever met." Astra was pleased to hear this and immediately beamed with joy. "Let's eat the chicken. I cooked it myself. Come and taste my cooking skills." He opened the lunchbox and eagerly invited me. I gave him a peck on the cheek and he casually put his arm around my waist. The sun was shining brightly above our heads, the shadows of the trees were dancing and the ground was covered with halos. Looking up, time passed silently. As far as the eye could see, the sky was clear and cloudless.